Hi leaders, thanks for watching the Weekly Connect. We're going to start our 4-week study on Daniel. So this week our Bible passage is from Daniel 1, so go ahead and get that read. And then when the kids come in the room, the first thing that we will do is start on our Create. And you'll see a piece of paper in there with a pennant, so the kids are going to need scissors to cut that out. And then they'll have different colored paper that they can use to put on the side of their pennant, and then you'll either have ribbon or string or yarn or whatever your campus coordinator has for you. You'll need that. You'll need some tape. You'll need, well, probably glue would work. I'm going to use glue. Some glue, and then you'll need a hole punch. So those are the items that should be provided for you in your room when you first get started. So what you'll do is you'll have the kids first cut out their pennant, and then they'll take the little strip of paper, whatever color they'd like, and they'll just glue it to the side. So it should stay on there just with some regular glue sticks. So here we go. I'll barely put any on just for the interest of time. And then I'm just going to have mine run a little bit longer. The kids can make it however long they want. You can do it like that because my pennant's going to kind of hang like this. Or they can make it more like a flag, whatever works for them. Then you'll take your hole punch and they'll just punch a couple holes in here. They can actually just make it however they'd like to on this as well. And we're going to put our yarn or our string right through the little holes. How funny. I got the smallest little hole. You can't even see it. I should have looked before I started my video. Got the smallest little hole punch so my stuff isn't going to fit through. So luckily for me, I have a pencil here. I'm going to poke my hole through with a pencil. Oh, that's funny. Only me. All right, and then you'll take your yarn and however many little pieces you want. So I have 2 holes in my pennant, and I went all the way through. And I will just take my yarn and apparently throw it on the floor. I'm showing my craftiness to y'all right now. And then we'll just put it through there, and you can tie it however you want to do it, just like that, and have it so that you loop it together. So you tie it so it's 2 loops, 1 loop, or if you just want it to look like a flag and just have these kind of hanging off, you can do that as well. However they want to do it, they can decorate. If you want to get out markers or crayons, they can decorate their pennant as well, so the back side is decorated. And then on the front, of course, it has our memory verse. So, fun craft, let them work on that before they go into story time and then transition into large group and go over the story of Daniel. So if you're telling the story this week, you're going to go ahead and start with your connect question. What has been the hardest decision you have ever had to make? So the point that we're trying to get across to the kids this week is that they need to decide ahead of time that they're going to follow God. So if they stick with that information and just know no matter what they're faced with, no matter what questions they're asked or what tasks they're asked to do in their life, no matter what, they are going to follow God. And that's their decision. So going in, they know they're going to follow God. Then it's so much easier when they're faced with those situations that maybe somebody's asking them to do something that would be against the Bible or against God, and they will do the right thing just as God would want them to do. So, as I said, we're going to be in Daniel 1. You're going to go ahead and you're going to read over the passage. My son is making faces at me through the window. Okay, now we're better. I'm sorry. This is going to be a very interesting video. So then you're going to first read that over, and then you are going to give a little bit of background and then start right in on the story of King Nebuchadnezzar when he decided that he was going to have, well, the Israelites were captured again by the Babylonians, and then King Nebuchadnezzar decided he was going to have some of the Israelites come and work in the palace for him. So he wanted the really handsome guys to come in there, the strong, the very smart people to come in. And so he had his officials gather some of the men, and they went through a 3-year training. So 4 of those men that were gathered and asked to be brought to the palace to perhaps live and work for the king for a long term were Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So they all decided they were going to come there. They brought him in, and then they began to learn things about the palace. They got to eat at the table with the king, which was a really big honor for them to be able to do that. The problem was that the Israelites had many rules that God had set out for them on things that they were not allowed to eat. end, unfortunately, the king at his table would eat several of the things that they were not allowed to eat. So they had this really big problem, because when the king is giving you such an honor as saying that you can come and eat at his table, you don't exactly say no thank you or push up your nose at the food and say no thanks, I'm going to stick with my diet, what God has told me. But luckily, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego followed the one true God. Before going in, they knew that they were not going to be swayed, that they were going to obey God's rules and do exactly what he said. And so they went to the official and asked if they could please just follow the laws the Israelites had been given by God and just eat those things. The first official said, oh no, I'm very afraid of the king. If you end up being scrawny or sickly because you're not eating the meats that we're eating, we're going to all get in trouble, so I'm not going to allow you to do that. But rather than just saying okay and taking no for an answer, Daniel very respectfully went up and spoke to another guard. And this guard, he kind of made a deal with and said, if you can just check us, let us for 10 days, go ahead and eat exactly as God has instructed us. Then you can make sure that we're still strong and healthy, we're not sickly. Just give us 10 days and we'll prove that we will still be okay following our regiment and not eating all the king's food that he set before us. And the guard said, okay, you have 10 days. And believe it or not, they were even stronger. They worked harder. They were completely fine than the other men. And so the guard agreed that they could follow God's rules and continue on with their diet. So as I said, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they had decided before they came into the king's castle that they were going to follow God's rules first. They were going to put him first. And that's what we're going to encourage the kids to do as well. So read over your lesson and share that with the kids. And then, of course, you're going to go right into your offering and your songs. We have 4 new worship songs on the CD. So go ahead and give a couple of those a try. And then you will give your blessing after you collect the offering. So the blessing is from Matthew 6:13. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. So we'll bless the kids by saying, may God help to keep you safe and out of harm's way. May you be encouraged to do what is right in God's eyes and always run. Don't just walk from temptation. So great reminder for the kids, great reminder again for us. It's like we're learning right along with them. And then you'll go back into your story room and you'll start on your after the story review questions. Go ahead and handle those however that's best for your class. And then we will start playing a little game with the kids. It is called Getting a Little Help from Your Friends. And we are going to start by having all the kids sit on the floor, pick a couple of the kids to get in groups, and they can try this together, to sit back to back and have them try to stand up without using their hands to touch the floor. So even if you want the kids to start off first just sitting crisscross applesauce and tell them, okay, put your hands out in front of you without touching the floor, without grabbing onto anything, without using your hands at all, go ahead and stand up and see how many of the kids are able to do that. And then after they can figure that out, a lot of times when you get that rocking motion, they can figure that out. If they just rock back, they can propel themselves forward. Some of them will figure that out. Maybe some won't. And then say, okay, let's try this with 2 of you together. Sit back to back and see if it's easier for you to stand up using that pressure. And then by the end of this game or this time together, encourage the kids to just keep adding another person to their group. So start with 2 people back to back, 3 people, 4 people. And the point we're trying to get across is that with help from God or help from somebody else, when you're not all on your own, it's a little bit easier to do things. Just like for Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the fact that they were all together, it was easier for them to stand strong together. Now, Daniel would not have caved even if he was by himself. His personality, he knew even if he were by himself, he was not going to give in to temptation. And we want to remind the kids of that as well. Even if they're standing alone, they're not really alone because they have God on their side. And if they pray and they talk to God and tell him about their temptations, he wants to be there for them. He wants to help them. And he might even send them a godly friend that they can lean on back to back. So we'll move into that. And then as always, we'll go to our prayer time. You'll write down your prayers in your prayer journals. And then we will start getting ready to dismiss. So next week, we're going to move right on to Daniel 2. And these lessons are very long, but I hope that you'll enjoy them. I had so much fun researching Daniel and doing all these things. I might have went on a little bit long. It was hard for me to cut a lot of the lessons out. So just do it however it's best for your classroom and what you know that the kids can pay attention to. And if they run a little bit long, go ahead and feel free to cut out the story. Just get to the meat of the information we're trying to get across to them. So as always, it's your classroom. You need to do it however it works best for you. So if you have any prayer requests or any questions, go ahead and contact your campus supervisor and they would be happy to help you. And you can always shoot me an email as I love to pray for you guys each week. So thanks for watching the Weekly Connect. I hope you have fun. And I'm sorry for all the interruptions on this. Hopefully next week will be better. Maybe I'll do it while the kids are at school. So have a great week, and I will see you as I'm teaching right along with you this weekend. Have a great week. Thanks.